Welcome back everybody. Today I'm going to show you how to place the smokes on every single controller in the game on Ascent. And now onto the ranking. If I had to give Astra a ranking from S to F, I'd actually give her the A tier. She is a pretty versatile smoker, she is probably one of the better ones to play on this map, but in general I just think an Omen is just a little better. Talking about Omen, I'd give Omen the S tier. He is the best smoker on a map like Ascent because he has rechargeable smokes, his smokes can be placed in a lot of different ways, and even though his one-ways have been nerfed and Ascent used to be a insane one-way map for Omen, he is still probably one of the best ones. Now going over towards Brimstone, I put Brimstone in the A tier. His smokes are decent, him not having rechargeable smokes makes him a little bit bad, but his smokes last for a really long time, and also his dim beacon is a pretty good thing, his molly is a pretty good thing, and his ult can be used in a lot of different ways. Coming over towards Clove, I only give Clove the B tier. That is because, in my opinion, Clove is just not as good as a smokes agent. She's more like a duelist type of agent, so using Clove on this map is not the greatest. Also because she has recently been nerfed, making her smokes having a longer recharge time, and I just think Omen, Astra or Brimstone are just way better than a Clove on this map. On the other hand, I'm gonna put Harbor actually before Clove. In my opinion, Harbor has a pretty decent kit. He is pretty hard to use on a map like Ascent, but he isn't quite as bad as most people think he is. I know he is hard to use, but he isn't bad. And also his Harbor Bubble, the Clove, can be used to defuse in most situations, and it is a pretty good thing that you can use for post plant. Also, him having a lot of different smokes makes him able to smoke a lot of different spaces and take a lot of different spaces of the map pretty easily. And now coming over towards Viper. Viper is, in my opinion, an F tier smoker on Ascent, just because the Viper wall isn't really flexible, you need to have a lot of lineups for the Viper orbs, and also they don't hold for that long. So if you want to play a smoker on Ascent, don't play Viper, especially not as a solo smoker, with another smokes agent, like for example Clove or Omen. I think Viper can be decent, but just as a solo smokes agent, Viper is a pretty bad pick on a map like Ascent. Starting off with A side and Astra. On Astra you can place the one-way in a main like this. A one-way like this works pretty well. Anyone that is trying to peek you here is gonna get one-way, and you can have a free time killing them while holding main like this. Most of the times I would recommend you use a Phantom, because if you have a one-way like this and they're pushing through, they're just gonna push as a full team, and then you can shoot them and spray them in a pretty simple way. Another star you can use is this one right here as a smoke, or even as a recall smoke. This star allows you to place close here, play close here, even go back towards into wine, and it just gives you a lot of options to play in a main aggressively. If you are not playing here and if you want to use this smoke, tell your teammate that you're placing the smoke right here and not the normal smoke right here. Talking about the normal smoke, this smoke is a pretty good one. You can place it almost every round when they are coming A. It allows your team to play in a lot of different angles. They can play up here, here, like almost everywhere, and it is really easy to hold a main. And now to the last smoke, what we're going to use on this side, it is this one right here. This smoke is a side smoke, and it allows your teammate on side to play around and with it. This smoke is really good because you can hide in it, wait for the enemies to walk in, you can even play back here, play like a little bit in front. There's a lot of different ways you can play with this smoke, and this smoke allows you to play in a lot of different ways. Then one more thing you can do, it isn't really a smoke, but more of a recall smoke. It is something like this. When you are trying to go for a retake, recall the smoke and then jump down. This allows you to cross down to lower pretty easily. It also allows you to jump over towards Gen, and in general allows you to do a lot of different stuff when you're trying to come out of heaven. And it is harder for the enemies to hold you here, especially if you have a lot of people that jump down at the same time. Maybe even somebody stays on top, or maybe even somebody tries to jump over towards Gen and then fight the enemies from up there. Switching over towards mid. On mid you have a lot of different options for smokes as well. One being this one right here. This one is a pretty good one to stop the enemies from coming into lower, and it also allows you to hold right here, which is a pretty unexpected angle. In higher elo lobbies this angle is more expected, but still you can get some free kills of the enemies if you place the smoke a little further behind. If you want to place it a little bit safer, you can also place it a little closer to you, and then you can't look through here anymore, but it also allows you to play close here, even go inside of the smoke and play in a lot of different spots. You can also place a smoke on short, like right here, This smoke is really good if the enemies are coming through mid and trying to take the tree area. It allows you to play close here, it allows you to place it in a lot of different spots and just have a great off angle on the enemies that are coming through this smoke. And then two last smokes, one being this one right here and the other one being this one right here. These ones are used for mid aggression, so for example, if you want to take the link area right here, you smoke top mid, and then walk up towards link, or with a chat, maybe dash and updraft up here with a flash or something like that. Or if you want to take the mid control without worrying about top mid and this area right here, the link area, you can smoke this and then take the mid space like this. This is really good because it allows you to take a lot of space over the map, and it only allows the enemies to take B main and A main, so there's only like really two different spots where the enemies can come through. Switching over towards B. On B you have one, maybe two good smokes, one being this one right here, the default smoke in A main, and one being this one right here. If you want to take the A main space, you're going to use this smoke right here with maybe a stun, a flash, or something like that to take the space. This is really good if you want to get your right here. And then this smoke is the default smoke. You can also use a one similarly to the one in A main. That's deeper, like this. It allows you to play close here, here, almost everywhere. But usually you're just going to use this smoke right here to block the enemies from coming in towards B. And then one last smoke you can use also just maybe as a recall most of the times. It is this smoke right here. It allows you to cross over towards the site. It also allows you to cross out of CT if the enemies are on site themselves. And this smoke is in general pretty good to isolate angles. So for example, if you want to get out of CT, this part here is smoked. You know there's somebody over towards this side. You can coordinate with your team, tell them to 3, 2, 1 swing. You walk out, fight that person, fight the people close, and then fight the rest of the site. A smoke I don't really recommend most of the time because it allows the enemies to play in a pretty safe spot most of the times. It is these two backside smokes. You can use them. I wouldn't recommend you use both of your smokes like these because most of the times the enemies can then just hide in them and wait for you to peek or just spam at the spike, and it is in general not the best smoke you can use. You can use one side and then fight the other one and try to go for a defuse, but in general I just recommend go smoke the spike, start defusing, and have your teammates hold the back side angles from right here. On Brim it is pretty much the same. A main, again, you can use the one way, but this time the one way is going to be on the part in front. This allows you to just hold right here. Why not in the back? This smoke is not as big, and the Astra smoke being the biggest one only works if you use it on the back. But with a Brim smoke you can have the one-way purpose as well if you place it on the front. If you place it on the back, the people can just walk in front and have no one-way on them. Then you can also obviously use the normal smoke here in A main. This one is a pretty strong one. You can again hide here close, go towards wine, and it's basically the same. And you can also use this smoke here in main and just spam the enemies. You can then also throw a molly into the smoke or just do something to stop the enemies from getting in. And then again you can also use the side smoke right here. This one is a little bit smaller, a little bit harder to play around with because it is also a smoke where you can't really see inside of, so you don't see if somebody walks in the front part. But in general this smoke helps your teammate on site to hold the site in a pretty simple way. Switching over towards mid, same smokes again. The smoke here close and short. You can also use a smoke right here if you want to play in this close corner right here, or just play somewhere in the open here. Or again, the same smoke as on an Astra right here. And for mid, we have the top mid smoke and the link smoke. These are the two smokes you want to use when you play aggressive, as I explained on Astra. And then the one here in bottom mid. With a Brim, you have to worry a little more about placing it further back if you don't want to have a gap in your smoke, and if you want to have a gap, just place it like you placed it in Astra smoke at around right here, and it's gonna have a gap right here too, where you will be able to see through and shoot through. Then also one smoke I forgot on Astra is this one right here. If you are holding from market, you can block off the enemies that are trying to come in towards mid. This allows you to play close here in pizza, it allows you to play close here in CT, it also allows you to play close here in market. So you have a lot of different spots where you can hold this smoke from, and most of the times the enemies can only get through it with either a reveal or with a flash that is coming through it. And then over towards B, you can place the aggressive smoke if you want to play aggressive. You can place the smoke in main itself, right here, or you can also place the smoke right here. That's the normal one you can use to take fights in main. This smoke also allows you to go out through the smoke back here and get a pretty good fight off of the enemies that are trying to take B main in a pretty simple way. And then for the retake, just smoke main. With Brim, it is pretty important that you do not smoke backside because it is a pretty long-lasting smoke, and it allows the enemies to play in it in a pretty easy way, and it is not that good for your team. So just smoke the spike if you have a smoke left, and start defusing and have your teammates hold the backside area. You can obviously also use a Brim multiplayer at the backside area if you have one ready. Clove smoke are the same as Brim smoke. One right here if you want to play for a one-way. One right here if you want to play aggressive in B main or just hold this area right here. And then one here in main if the enemies are trying to come in towards the side. And then if you have a teammate on site, just use this smoke right here. It is a little better on a Clove than on a Brim, and it allows you to play in it and around it. And short, it's the same thing again. You can use a smoke close here. You can use a smoke close right in front of you, right here. Or again over towards mid, do the one in top mid or link. If you want to take one of the spaces, just always hold the other side that you are not smoking off. And then if you want to hold mid, you can use a smoke like this one. You can use a smoke like this one. And in general, these are the only smokes you're gonna need on a Clove. And then over towards B, you can use the main smoke deep. Pretty good on a Clove because Clove is a pretty aggressive agent in and itself. And so you can play off of this smoke yourself. And then you can use the smoke right here if you want to use that one, or use a smoke here in main if you want to just hold main. By the way, something I didn't tell you yet already, if you want to use this smoke in main, you have to play aggressive or you just have to hold this smoke. If you don't play aggressive enough in a main, use this smoke right here. It is the better smoke. On Clove, however, you can use the backside smoke to take the side, either over here or over on the other side. I recommend the left side here for the smoke because this left side allows you to play a pretty good higher lower where you just hold from right here and the other person is holding from right here. So smoking the left side is probably the better idea. And then smoking the spike as soon as the enemies are trying to, as soon as your team is trying to go for the defuse. Same thing also on A. If you if they have planted right here and you want to go for the defuse, smoke right there. If they planted dies right there, smoke right there and go for the defuse. Switching over towards Harbor. Harbor is the first agent that has a different way to smoke. You can use one of your cascades like this to stop the enemies from coming into main. This wall is a pretty good one, and it also allows you to hold main in a pretty simple way. You can then even refresh it with a wall like this. And in general, Harbor's util is pretty good to hold the people that are trying to come out of a main, because his wall slows and the enemies can't really see anything, so you can play in a lot of different spots in a main. The cascade is also pretty good to take the A main space, so if you have some other util to take A main, you can just let your cascade go and have your teammate fill the space after it, and then have the A main space pretty much for free. The other options you have is to play main jiggle. If you see somebody, you can use a cascade like this, and then even go either towards wine, play pretty aggressive on main, just hold the enemies from coming in, or you can use walls like these. This wall is a pretty good one. It allows you to play behind the wall back there, and it also allows you to hold the enemies from close here, and then hide behind your own wall in a lot of different spots, and this is in general pretty good. You can also use a cascade like this to stop the enemies from coming in towards main, or use a wall like this one to stop the enemies from coming into main as well. This wall is good in a couple of different ways, because firstly it slows them while they go in here, then it's gonna slow them again when they are coming through here. So holding a main with a harbor is a pretty good thing. You can also use a cascade like this. It has a similar effect to the smoke you can place on the side, but it isn't a really great one. One thing you can do on a harbor as well is to use your harbor bubble right here. This one can get sprayed, but it allows you to play on site. Another really good use of the harbor bubble is to use it close here to get towards under, focus more on the people that are playing under, and even get out with maybe a cascade like this, and focus more on the people that are trying to fight on the side and have a pretty good retake with a harbor bubble right here. Or you can use a wall from right here, from main, to block off the main area. The other really good use for a harbor bubble is to use it in post plant. You can use it right here when they have planted and start diffusing, because if you have walled off and if you have bubbled off, they can spray the bubble, but you're still walled off, so you can just probably stick to diffuse at least to half, maybe even the full time. Similar thing if you place it here. And if you want to take main but you are in heaven, you can use a cascade like this, clear out the site, stop the cascade, and then use a wall like this to stop the enemies from peeking from main again. Switching over towards mid. On mid, you can use a cascade right here. You can use a cascade from bottom mid towards top mid and focus on the people that are playing close here. Just don't forget to stop it, else the enemies can just walk through it, or just the cascade is gonna go too far and the enemies can just see through it. And then you can get close here and fight the enemies that are playing close here. Or you can use your wall for that exact purpose. Wall like this, and then wall like this, to take all of the mid control in a pretty simple way, and it makes it really hard for the enemies to take the mid control. Switching over towards B. B is pretty simple. You can also use a cascade like this one to play aggressive on B main, or you can use a wall to do the same thing, but I think it's just kind of a waste for a wall. The other things you can do is wall like this, to have a smoke here in main. It allows you to play close here, which is a pretty unexpected angle, or you can just use your wall like this and wall mid as well. This wall is a pretty good one because it allows you to play aggressive here in a main, and it also smokes off mid in a pretty simple way. And then again, you can use a smoke like this, you can use a wall like this one to stop the enemies from coming out main, and it is in general a pretty good thing to just use your walls to stop the enemies from coming in, because your walls have a slow effect on them, and anyone that is walking through it is going to get slowed, and you're going to be able to see them first. And then for the retake, you can use your harbor bubble either here to take the site, because it allows you to walk out, even pre-fire the people that are playing close here. You can use a cascade towards backside to take the site in a pretty simple way. Or you can also use your wall to take the backside from right here. This is one I don't really recommend, but it can work sometimes. And then again, if they have planted, use your bubble and start to defuse. It puts a lot of pressure on the enemies, and it makes it that you are pretty safe in your bubble to get the defuse off. Switching over towards Omen. Omen is probably the best smokes agent on this map, because you have a lot of different things you can do. You used to be able to place a lot of different one ways. You can still place the one in a main. And if you place that one, make sure you place it as low as you can. This is really important, because if you place it high up, the enemies can see you, or like crouch into your angle right here, and they can see your legs, and they kind of know where you are at. If you place it as low as you can, this is not possible, so it is really hard for the enemies to take their main space. But you, however, on the other side, you can still see them. I'm gonna show you how it looks like when you place it a little too high up. It leaves a decent gap here, and you can still see the enemies, but the enemies can also just kind of see you. You can see when I crouch into this angle, I can see the legs of the enemy defender, and it makes it possible for me to be able to kill that guy in a pretty simple way by just shooting at head height and at around the spot where I see his legs. So keep that in mind if you play an Omen. If you want to use your one way in the beginning of the round, use it in the right way. Then again, for smokes, you can use this smoke to block off main. You can use this smoke to block off main in a different way, and to just hold from sight. And you can use this side smoke to take the space, or to keep the space on site. Another thing you can do on an Omen is to place a smoke in the air and then jump down. This smoke is also a pretty good one. It makes it a little hard for you to go out of the smoke, but it allows you to isolate the angles on under, especially if you have like a Sova dart or something, and it allows you to go onto the site in a pretty simple way. On short, you can use this smoke as well, right here, or this smoke, for the same purposes on the other smokes agent as well. And mid, you can use the bottom mid smoke, you can use the top mid smoke right here, and you can use this smoke right here. All of these smokes are pretty good, depending on what you want to play. You can also use this smoke right here, and especially on an Omen, a smoke like this is pretty good, because a Omen, since he has TPs, it allows him to play close here, get a kill, and then TP over, and fight the people again from over here. Similarly on short, if you want to play close in this corner, use a smoke here, get a kill on swing, TP out, and then fight the enemies again. This is a thing that can only be done on an Omen out of all of the smokes agent. Maybe it can be done on a Clove as well with the heal, but it isn't as safe as on an Omen. And then again for B main, you can use deep smoke right here. You can also support that deep smoke by throwing a flash like this to blind anyone that is coming in towards main. You can then use this smoke right here. It also allows, Omen also allows you to play in this close corner right here, then get out in a pretty simple way. Just TP out and fight the enemies again. And you can then place a smoke here in main if you're trying to hold main from side. And then on backside, I again only recommend this smoke. Maybe the other one is decent as well, but just in general use this smoke. If you want to take the backside area, don't use it on both, or just use one smoke here on the spike and start to go for the diffuse. Switching over towards Viper. On Viper you can also use the A main one way, but it's gonna take you a longer time and it's gonna require you to use a lineup. The lineup for the A way, one way smoke is as follows. You get yourself stuck in this corner right here, then you look up, and then you take your orb in the hand and line it up with this spot right here, with this rock, with the edge of your poison bar. You can then just throw it as soon as the round starts. It's gonna fly all the way over and land right here. You can then pop it and spray the enemies that are trying to go through it. In general, I wouldn't really recommend using that orb because it's gonna take a long ass time to get there, and by the time your orb lands and goes up, most of the times the enemies have already crossed through, but it is an option to one way A main in a pretty simple way. In general, I would just recommend you use either your orb right here as a normal orb, or you use a Viper wall like this. Because this Viper orb, this Viper wall is a pretty good one. It covers your main in B, in A. It covers your short, and it also covers your mid. This is why this wall is pretty good. It covers 3 different lanes, and it allows you basically to play all over towards B with your orb in B main. As soon as you hear somebody call for a smoke on A, you can use your orb, your wall. Then you can use the same thing also for mid and cubby. So if the enemies are trying to split A, you can just put up your wall. If the enemies are trying to come B, you can just put up your orb. This is a pretty simple setup. As a Viper on defense, you can then just throw mollies in towards wherever they are coming. So you have smokes all over the map with just 2 different things of utility. The other things you can do is to throw a orb in towards main, a little deeper like this. And then just hold it, even play in it sometimes. But in general, doing the setup I showed you before is the best option. You can use your orb in the same spots where you would use a smoke, you just have to be pretty precise. For B, you can also use a wall over from B, like this. This wall isn't too bad, it allows you to play in this close cubby right here if you put it up. Sometimes this spot gets sprayed, but most of the times it doesn't. And as soon as the wall drops, you can then collect some kills. But it's gonna make it so you are most likely gonna die, so I recommend you do that on a chamber or a Yoru that has ATP available to them. This wall also covers mid, and it allows you to play in this close copy right here, so if the enemy is trying to Sova dart you, you can put up this wall and hide behind it, and then you can just go back and fight the enemies that are playing close. And then on short, it allows you to play in this close copy as well, but it also blocks off the short entrance, so if anyone is trying to come in, you can just spray them in a pretty simple way and get some kills. Switching over towards attack. On attack, you have a couple of different options with an Astra. If the enemies decide to place a one-way right here, you can place a star right here and then recall that star. You can then cross over with the one way up, and then you can fight the person in main in a pretty simple way. You can also use a star here in main and stun the enemies, but that's most of the times not necessary. For smokes, just smoke right here and right here in heaven. These 2 smokes should do you a pretty solid. This one is a pretty good one because it allows you to get over close to the door and then close this door. And the one in heaven is a pretty good one because it allows the enemies not really to walk out far. They're going to be able to be seen from main all the way. The reason why you don't place a smoke right here is a pretty simple one. If you place a smoke right here, the enemies can walk up all the way out here and isolate certain angles. For example, if you have somebody walking up here, you can isolate this angle focus on people close, isolate the main angle, and it just allows the enemies to play in a lot of different spots. And especially with an Astra having pretty big smokes, if you place it right here, have a smoke, the enemies can then just jump down to under and defend from under. So always place your smoke far enough behind so the enemies have a harder time to retake the site. Switching over towards mid. Mid is again pretty simple. You can use a smoke either here, close, block the enemies off if you want to try to take mid. You can use a star here as well if you want to block off short, so if you think somebody is short. And if they are holding with an op, this is a pretty good idea. Or you can also just recall this smoke and fight the people that are playing in short, which is a pretty unexpected thing to do. And then for mid, if you want to split over towards B, you can use this smoke deep in mid right here and take the space behind it. Talking about B, on B you have two pretty simple smokes. One is this one right here and the other one is here on CT. Use this one, and then you can even use a recall smoke here in main if you want to cross out. Because this smoke allows you to go into a lot of different spots. You can also then go out here, focus on the people that are playing close here, focus on these people, and in general you're gonna need these two smokes to take the site. You can then also obviously close the door to make it harder for the enemies to retake. If you are on site, you can use a smoke either close here or close here. What this smoke here allows you, it allows you to play close in this corner right here or even on top, which is a pretty good hiding spot. You have to tell your teammate though that you are not holding lane. And the other smoke allows you to play in the smoke, play close here, but it also allows the enemies to come out of CT pretty freely. So if you have, for example, an op or two players holding this area right here, I don't recommend using this smoke. I only recommend using the smoke here on the right, on the left side, if the enemies have already taken this space right here. Switching over towards Brim. On Brim, you can just use the normal smokes right here and right here.
Launching smoke.
To take the sites. There's not really much else you can do with the smokes of Brim because they are just normal smokes. They last pretty long, so you can use them on the default spots. If you want to resmoke something, if the door is broken, resmoke heaven. If the door isn't broken, resmoke heaven. And if the door is broken, resmoke tree. Because if you resmoke tree, it allows you to play close here. It allows you to play close here in this corner. It allows you to play in a lot of different spots, and it makes it pretty hard for the enemies to split the site onto you. And if you only resmoke heaven, they can have like one flash to get out, but it is harder for them to get out of heaven either way. So if you resmoke tree, which is the easier way to entry towards the site, it makes it harder for them to retake the A site. Switching over towards mid. On mid, you're going to use the same smokes as on an Astra, either bottom mid if you want to take mid from top mid, or either short if you want to take
Launching smoke.
mid from B-Link right here. And then again, if you decide to split B from mid, you can smoke right here and then go in towards market. Or if you decide to go B in a pretty simple way, just use smokes right here and take the site. And for resmokes, there's one smoke you can do on a Brim that you can't do on an Astra. It is this one right here, where you place it on top of this boxes right here. This is a one-way smoke for the person that's trying to go for the defuse. And it is a pretty good one at that, because Brim smoke lasts pretty long, and it also makes the enemies not be able to see anything. By the way, the same thing can also be done on A if you smoke on top of Gen, but in general, it isn't quite as good on A, because if the enemies can take the site, they're also gonna be able to take a main pretty easily, and also they can just smoke you off right here. So using this smoke can be really good, but in general, I recommend you just resmoke either tree or heaven. Switching over towards Clove. Clove has the same smokes as a Brimstone. What you can do on a Clove, however, is, because Clove smokes recharge pretty quickly, is to use one here in main to cross over, but I don't recommend to do it this most of the times. I only recommend to do it like to drain the enemies of information, so if they don't have a Sova or a Fade, they can't really get any passive map information with something like that, and that only really matters in higher elo. But then again, use your smokes here and here. Wait for your team to be ready. It is really important that you wait for your team to be ready to take the site, because since the Clove smokes don't last for as long, it is really important that you place them at the right time. So you wait, you see somebody going in, and then you place your smoke. because if you place them too early, they're gonna be gone at the time your team is taking site, and if the enemies throw a lot of util in towards a main, your smokes are gonna fade and you're gonna have a hard time taking the site. If you want to re-smoke something, you can also re-smoke tree and heaven. Either one of those is pretty good, or you can also use the one way here on top of the chen. Switching over towards mid. Mid, you can use the same smokes as on a Brimstone and a Astra. Use a smoke right here, or use a smoke in short, depending on what you want to take. If you want to take mid from link, you smoke short. If you want to take mid from top side, from top mid, you smoke here. If you want to then split over towards B, you can use a smoke right here. And that's basically it. And for B, again, the same smokes, right here, and then go towards the site. If you want to go for the one way, again, this works on a Clove as well. It doesn't work on an Astra because Astra smokes are too big, but on a Clove, it works pretty well. Just make sure to place it right. If you place it wrong, it can be that the smoke is going to land on the button right here. And it's not going to be beneficial for your team. It's actually going to be really bad for your team because you're smoking your team off and you're giving the enemies a smoke that can diffuse in. Switching over to a Harbor. Harbor has a different way to take a main. You can use a cascade like this one. Even if the enemy is one-way main, this cascade is going to help you to take the main space. It also smokes you off for a small amount of time, but usually that doesn't really matter that much unless you want to go really fast. Then I wouldn't recommend you use a cascade. Then for smokes, you can use either one like this and block off heaven and the door right here, or if you want to use another smoke that can block off all of heaven, you can use one like this one and block off heaven. This smoke is a pretty decent one as well. It blocks off all of heaven if you place it the right way. I didn't place it all the way right. I got down sadly, but still it works pretty well to block off the enemies from taking the heaven area. And also if they want to come towards site, they're going to be slowed and they have to jump through a wall, which makes it pretty easy for your team to get the kills. That's why Harbor is actually the only smokes agent I would recommend where you smoke off heaven fully. On the others, I don't really recommend it. And also another trick for the players from you that want to learn how to play a Harbor in a pretty good way and place the smokes in pretty good ways as well, is that you can place a Harbor wall more precise by looking up. So you can see wall is getting slower and then it doesn't go quite as far, but you can make it more precise. You can also use a cascade towards heaven like this, or towards the door if you have one. Don't stop it here, by the way, stop it here in heaven, but I stopped it because I wanted to show the other one. Another cascade you can do is one like this to make it really hard for the enemies to get out, and it also allows you to play here in under and dodge a reel that might be coming towards under, or if the enemies are already out, you can just hide down here or have a teammate hiding down there. And then something that is also pretty good, if the enemies like to spam in towards main with phantoms, vandals, or even an Odin, you can use a Harbor Bolt right here to get out of the main's choke right here and to fight the enemies that are trying to hold you from getting out. Or you can also use your Harbor Bubble to go for a plant either here or here. Your Harbor Bubbles are a pretty strong thing to go for a plant, especially on maps where getting a plant is pretty difficult. Ascent is not one of those maps, that's why you can also use a Harbor Bubble to get in towards the site. Switching over towards mid. Mid is a little bit hard to smoke on a Harbor in a reliable way. You can still use a cascade from here to short to stop the enemies from seeing you short, but the cascade is not going to hold for that long. Same thing also with bottom mid. You can use a cascade like this one and even walk up behind of it and hold short. This is a pretty good thing. You can play mid pretty fast with a Harbor, but it also doesn't last for that long, so you don't have the long-lasting smokes of most of the other agents if you want to take the mid area. For B, I recommend you use a Harbor Cascade right here in towards main, and then go all the way over towards this side and smoke like this. This smoke is the same one as on any other agent, and it is in general a pretty good one. If you want to split over towards B, you can use a cascade over towards the CT area, and then you use a wall from over here to wall off CT. And again, if the enemies like to spam you from getting out of B main, you can use a Harbor Bubble close here, and then even get over towards lane, or take the fight right here, or fight the other people from over here. In general, this is pretty good, or you can also use it off of the wall, like right here, to make it go even deeper. You can also use it off of the wall right here to make it go in even deeper and give you an easier way to get over towards the site. For resmoke, I just recommend you resmoke CT from backside right here. And maybe even mark it. What this smoke allows you as well is to play behind here or even play behind close here. This one is a pretty tight one. If you don't place it all the way right, you might stick out and you can get killed in a pretty simple way. But if the people just walk past you, you have a free time killing them and shooting them in the back. Switching over towards Omen. If there's a one way in a main, you can just TP over towards the other side and fight the people in main with your team that is coming through the main choke right here. But in general, doing this is a pretty good thing. Then for smokes, use these two smokes. Again, the same smoke as on any other agent as well. One in heaven, one in switch right here. Then you can close the door. And it is pretty simple to smoke on a Omen on a map like Ascent. And then for mids, you can use a bottom mid smoke. You can also use a short smoke. Just use these two smokes to take the mid area. For bottom mid, you can use a smoke right here. And then switching over towards B already, smoking here and here is a pretty good thing. And now switching over towards Viper. Viper is probably the hardest one to smoke on Ascent. You can use a smoke like this one or a wall like this one to kind of smoke off A. It isn't a great wall because firstly it has a gap close here and also it doesn't really cover heaven, but it is one of the ones you can use to take the site. You can then close the door. I wouldn't recommend you use your orb at the same time because your wall is going to go down pretty quickly. So just use your orb either close here to stop the enemies from going for a defuse or do a lot of damage to them with the vulnerable damage, or use your orb towards heaven like this later to stop the enemies from coming out and just spray through here. Another thing you can do is to throw it up here. I don't have a lineup for it because I don't really play Viper on this map, but it is a pretty good one way. You can then even hold the enemies that are trying to come out from right here. It's gonna make it pretty hard, but it isn't a perfect one, and you also need a lineup for it, so most of the times it's not even worth it. Switching over towards mids. On mids, it is pretty hard to smoke on a Viper again. You can use your poison orb like this to kind of smoke off short, but it isn't the most precise one. And I again recommend you have a lineup for something like that if you want to play Viper as a solo controller on this map. For mids, you can also use a orb towards bottom mids. But again, I recommend a lineup to get it perfectly right here. And then over towards B, you can use a wall like this one, and then use your orb towards CT area. Or just use a molly towards CT and have your wall up. In general, I don't recommend playing a Viper on this map. On defense, she is decent, but on attack, she is really bad. So don't play solo Viper on this map. If you want to play a Viper on Ascent, I recommend you get yourself a duo that can play another smoker, because a Viper is just not that good as all of the other smokes on this map. I really hope you guys enjoyed and learned something from it. If you want to see any other smokes guides, you can write them down in the comments. I have already made one on Abyss, Lotus, Fracture and Bind. And if you want to see anything else Valorant related, write it down there as well. By the way, I still am on my daily series where I upload almost a video a day on how to play all the different agents on different maps. And if you're interested in that, you can check it out on my channel. Have a great rest of your day and see you guys very soon. Bye!